What is going on, gunfighters? Do you want a gun that's easy to shoot? You curious about what guns are easy to shoot? That's what we're going to talk about today on Gunfighter Life. Saddle up for another episode where we talk about guns, gunfighting, tactics, ballistics, the right way with God at the center, Judeo-Christian values, and real-world first-hand experience. Bio link in the show notes. Now, I guess I should quantify what is a gun that's easy to shoot. And that'll depend on what you're trying to shoot, right? Just purely the easiest gun to shoot, you'd have like a single shot 17 Mach 2 or a 17 or single shot, 17 or 22 caliber rimfire. That'd be an easy gun to shoot. Break open, single shot, super easy. That's not really what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about different categories and guns that fit into that category that are easy to shoot. On the rimfire note, though, I think the 1022 is going to be the first thing we're going to talk about just because it is so common and so easy to recommend. It is low recoil. It is a lot of fun to shoot. I'm not saying it's the only 22 out there, but if I'm just recommending a 22 that's easy to shoot, magazines are fairly easy to load. The guns themselves, as far as the semi-automatic 22 goes, are very reliable, with the caveat that you put the ammo in there that your rifle likes. So easy to shoot that way. It can be pretty frustrating, especially for newer shooters, if the gun jams, twice every magazine. So there's that. Recently they came out with models that don't have iron sights, which makes me very sad. But most of the 1022 models have iron sights. The iron sights are decent and usable, and you can shoot them pretty well and easily. If you want, a fun gun to shoot with a repeatable, quick rate of fire, Ruger 1022 is a very easy gun to shoot. It's got good, simple ergonomics. It's simple to understand. Magazine in, rack the bolt, you're ready to go. Magazine out, rack the bolt, it's unloaded. It's very simple manual of arms. It's probably no surprise then that the next one I'm going to recommend is kind of like a bigger 1022. And I don't mean a 1022 with a bull barrel or anything. I mean very similar ergonomics, very similar operating system, and that's the Ruger Mini 14. I'm maybe one of the last of the generation that actually used those in the real world for real missions, for real stuff on. Anyway, check my bio, you probably figure out. I don't like to tell war stories and get super specific on stuff or how cool I was stories, but I liked the Mini 14. I wouldn't always take it over an AR-15, but there were some times when I would. It's a good weapon, and it's super simple and easy to understand. And easy to shoot, easy to use, meaning easy to clean, easy to assemble and disassemble. For me, the AR-15 is just so easy because I've used it for so many decades and used it professionally in all manner of things that, yeah, I could take it apart and put it back together blindfolded, but most new shooters aren't going to. And it does require maintenance, especially direct impingement AR-15s. A Mini 14, you pick it up, you load the magazine. Yeah, you have to rock and lock the magazine, but that's not crazy complicated. You put the mag in, you rack the bolt, the gun's loaded. Pretty simple piston system to operate. Mini 14 shoots the same 5.56 223, so it's a center fire. It's got low recoil. It's simple to use, simple to understand. Easy gun to shoot, easy gun to use, easy gun to clean. Simple ergonomics. Comes with good, decent iron sights, especially for like a new shooter or an experienced shooter. You don't have to worry about it and then getting something and figuring out how to mount it or what iron sights and what backup sights and do I want, lower, 1/3 or true co-witness and all this other stuff can be kind of daunting to a novice shooter or a new shooter. Get the Mini 14, shoot it with the sights that are on it. It's a decent gun, fun to shoot, easy to load, easy to clean. Easy to disassemble. Mini 14. Easy gun to shoot. Get it in stainless steel because if you can stainless steel, pretty much always stainless steel, and it will be even easier to maintain. The next one I'm going to mention, and I think in many ways it is better than the Mini 14, but I'm going to throw it in here just because it is so ubiquitous now. Many people do know the AR-15 and many people do have experience with the AR-15. And once you have that experience and that baseline of how to clean it and maintain it, because it's kind of a high maintenance girl. Once you get all that, it is pretty simple and fun to shoot. And an easy gun to shoot as far as being able to get magazines for it, common ammunition, common accessories. It's not going to be daunting. You're the kind of guy that likes to accessorize stuff. The AR-15 is going to be better for you than the Mini. And they are so common, and they're like the #1 fighting rifle in America. And a lot of that is because they're easy to shoot. Now, they're harder to take care of, but they're easy to shoot. If you can find an older one, like an A1 variant or a CAR 15 variant with a carry handle and iron sights already set up and good to go, that's pretty easy out of the box. Again, harder to maintain, but a lot of ARs don't even come with sights anymore. And I like optics. I think they're a force multiplier, but just getting a gun with iron sights and that's just a lot of fun and easy to shoot. That said, if it's not for defense, you just want to get one and put a red dot on it and sight it in, that's pretty easy too. Again, not as easy to maintain because you got to worry about batteries and all the things that go along with that and cleaning glass and all those daunting tasks. But still, I'm going to put the AR-15 in there. If you can find an older one with a carry handle and iron sights, that's, except for the maintenance, pretty simple. Easy to shoot, easy to use. And, center fire defensive type rifles or offensive type rifles, fighting rifles, whatever vernacular you want to use. The next one, shotguns. Shotguns are some of my favorite weapons, super versatile, but many of them have a lot of recoil. Even like a break-open single-shot 20 gauge, which I grew up hunting with, they can have quite a bit of recoil compared to something like an AR-15 or a Mini 14. They're not the most fun and easy to shoot for a new shooter, so I would advise against, a break-open single-shot 12 or 20 gauge for a youth shooter. I would recommend a break-open single-shot 410. Those, a break-open single-shot 410, affordable, fun to shoot. The one caveat is 410 ammo is more expensive in general than 20 or 12 gauge ammo, even though it's much smaller. It's just, a factor of supply and demand. But a break-open single-shot 410, super fun and so versatile. You want to take them out to learn small game hunting. Single-shot 410, you want to introduce somebody into shotgun shooting without a ton of recoil that's going to make them miserable. Single-shot 410. Easy to load, easy to operate. Most of them, the vast majority of them that I'm aware of, not all, but a lot of them have hammers, so it's easy to look and see, is it ready to fire, is it not ready to fire, is it safe to carry around, should I decock it? It's easy to understand, hit this button, break it open, break open single shot, put round in, close gun. Not a lot of recoil, super fun to shoot. A break open single shot 410 I think deserves to be on the list. Well, we talked about 22 rifles. How about pistols? Now, I love 22 pistols. They're a lot of fun to shoot. I would not necessarily call them easy to shoot. 22, semi-automatic handguns, not always. You can get super reliable ones, but a lot of times they're a lot more finicky. So, for this, it'll make a lot of people happy. I'm going to recommend a revolver. Something like a Heritage Rough Rider. I don't think a double action revolver is great for a lot of new shooters or somebody that wants something easy to shoot because it's not a big deal to me and not a big deal to a lot of, meat-eating grown men. But to, an 80-pound vegan female, pulling that double action trigger could be a chore and could kind of turn them off to shooting. So a single action, it's easy to understand, it's easy to load, it takes time, but it's easy, right? You drop a round in, you open the loading port, drop a round in. You do it till it's full, you cock the hammer and pull the trigger, and the trigger pull is not bad. You're not worried about speed for this. You're just worried about introducing them to a handgun that's easy to shoot, easy to use. Cylinders usually come out, so they're easy to clean. As long as the ammo detonates, it should work fine in that kind of gun as opposed to a semi-auto. A lot of semi-auto handguns can be ammo finicky. And even if it does misfire, you know what you do? You just cock the hammer again and pull the trigger again. Easy to shoot, easy to use. There are a bunch of these, right? There's the Ruger Wrangler, the Ruger Single Six, the Ruger Bearcat, and probably a bunch of others. But, a Heritage Rough Rider, they're affordable, they're fun to shoot, they're easy to shoot, easy to clean. They're not going to be super heavy to hold out there, which for a lot of new shooters, especially with a handgun, it may seem silly to, if you've been shooting handguns for a long time, but a lot of people struggle with holding that gun out there for long range sessions. It's muscles they don't normally use, so they're lightweight. Next ones I'm going to talk about are going to be deer hunting rifles, and I say deer as in medium-sized cervids, the most common thing we hunt in America, and it doesn't matter if it's a mule deer, a whitetail, or a pronghorn antelope, something in that size range, or maybe even bigger. But you shouldn't, probably be doing that with a 22 Heritage Rough Rider. So again, easy compared to things in its class. The number one thing I'm going to recommend is going to be a bolt-action 243. I love the 243. It is so easy to shoot for new shooters and females that I think a lot of times, sadly, it gets the reputation of being a cartridge only suitable for females and young shooters. The 243, in my opinion, is one of the best deer cartridges, period. Not for new shooters, not for baby shooters, not for vegans. It's a great deer cartridge, period. It's got a phenomenal max point blank range. They're not going to have a ton of recoil, which can aid you with follow-up shots, finishing shots. They've got a decent amount of power if you make a wise choice in bullet selection, which can be said for most calibers. They are phenomenal on deer size game. I think, again, one of the best. And it just happens to be easy to shoot, easy to use. A bolt action 243, easy to clean, easy to understand, easy to load, easy to unload. Detachable box magazine or hinged floor plate, like both of those are pretty simple to use and understand. And not a lot of recoil. And it's a fantastic deer cartridge. The next one I'm going to recommend is, this will make a lot of people happy too, a lever action 3030. 3030 is a pretty mild-mannered and easy to use carbine. I think that's one of the reasons it stuck around so long. 3030, 30 caliber, America, right? We love our 30 calibers. And you might say, well, why didn't you recommend a lever action for a 22? Because I think lever action 22s are more of a pain in the butt to use and load because the cartridges are so small, trying to shove them in a side gate or load a tube with a spring. I think they're just not a great choice for 22s unless you just want one to have fun with. I had new shooters shoot those and didn't like them. At least one. I was like, oh, I thought they'd really like it. And I'm like, nah, I don't like it. Just in the 22, they don't make a lot of sense to me for this purpose. If you want one to train for your centerfire lever action, okay, I get that purpose. But they're pretty complicated to disassemble and clean and stuff like that. But the lever action 3030s, a Winchester Model 94, or a even easier to clean and use, I think, Marlin 336, they're a lot easier to load because you're dealing with a lot bigger cartridge loading in the side gate. Pretty easy to understand. And a lever action 3030 is a great, easy to shoot, easy to maintain. You're probably, those probably aren't going to get nearly as dirty as a lever action 22. You might have that thing and pass it down to your grandkids and never have to completely disassemble it and clean it. And if you have a Winchester 94, I recommend you never ever do that. Pay a gunsmith to do that. If you've ever taken a Winchester 94 apart, you've probably regretted it. Ask me how I know. That said, they're great, easy guns to shoot and hunt deer with for that, and a lot of them still come with iron sights, which, again, you get it out of the box, you may have to sight it in, but you got the iron sights, they're easy to use, easy to understand, manageable recoil, 30 caliber, America. And the last one I'm going to talk about has become prolific on battlefields from South Africa to the Ukraine, right? And that is the AK-47. You talk about an easy gun to use, an easy gun to understand. This is a horrible thing, but it demonstrates the point. There are 12-year-olds running around Africa killing people with AK-47s. You know how they can do that? Because they're easy to use, easy to shoot, easy to understand. You might shoot them your entire lifetime. I'm not saying you should do this, but you could shoot them your entire lifetime and probably not ever have to clean them. Safety is huge. You can't miss it. It's the entire right side of the gun receiver is a large part of that is taken up by the safety. Mag in, rack charging handle, pull trigger, and It's an intermediate cartridge. It's a phenomenal fighting rifle. It was made for conscripts, right? It was made for people that didn't have a lot of training in firearms. It's simple to load, simple to understand, iron sights. I'm not saying it's better than an AR-15. I'm not even saying it's better than a Mini 14. I'm saying if you want a gun that's easy to use, that it's an intermediate cartridge, easy to maintain, easy to shoot, so easy a kid could do it. AK-47 is kind of up there. So I'm going to finish out with that one. Easy guns to shoot. By shoot, I also mean like maintenance and understanding them and cleaning them and hunt with them, things like that. So what do you think? Did I really miss one? Is there one that should be on there? Not because it's your favorite, because it makes more sense than the guns that are on the list. I'll be honest, I thought of this when I was working out at the gym today. It's not like I have written a doctoral thesis on it. So if you have a gun that you think would supplant one of the ones on the list here, let me know about it. If you want more regular contact and more content, consider becoming a patron. There should be a Patreon link in the show notes. Your tactical tip of the day. Clean your rifle barrel, pistol barrel in the direction the bullet travels, meaning from the breech to the muzzle. That can be challenging, and there are some exceptions, but that can be challenging on a lever action. Just get a bore snake. Get a bore snake and use it. Get one of the pull through type bore wires if you need a more aggressive cleaning than that. But you can do a lot more harm than good cleaning from the muzzle unless you really know what you're doing. And if you really know what you're doing, you can do it and not cause any damage. But why even take the risk when you could just pull a bore snake through it? That is your tactical tip of the day. Your tactical verse of the day. Your tactical verse of the day is coming at you from Romans 8:14. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, these are sons of God. Me interjecting here. You imagine what a blessing that is, and sometimes with all the stuff going on in life, we forget, right? If you are one of the chosen, the called, the saved, the redeemed, you are a son of God, the creator of the universe. That is worth rejoicing in. So let us not forget that and all the things that distract us in day-to-day life. Thanks for listening, and have a blessed day.